welcome everyone back to the podcast. Shoot, I don't even know what episode, but we're got to be really close to 100. This is like, I don't know, 98 or 99. I didn't ask, but we're right in there. So I have a really special guest today, as usual, good friend of mine. So these ones are always super easy for me because just jump on here and you talk to someone that you talk to all the time anyway. But yeah, we have Alec Overett on today. He's the CEO of Turf Kings. He's out of Indianapolis, Indiana. He's got some really cool things going on. But thanks for taking the time with us today, Alec, and joining the podcast.
Yeah, anytime.
It's been like, what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, since we were in Iowa, sometime in August. So maybe, wasn't it August? Yeah, so it's been at least a month now because today's October 1st.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So it hasn't been too long, but it goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that was a fun event, though. It was great to see you guys again, see everyone. It's fun to just connect with the group. It's pretty cool. You guys have some pretty cool things going on there for sure. That's my Callahan's group that we're talking about. It was fun. I was there for a couple of days. You guys did some site visits. When you guys did some site visits, I sat back and was working on my talk for the day. So that was cool. But yeah, it's a really good time. What were some big takeaways from that?
Man, we had some really good speakers there. I think James was just on your podcast.
He was
recently,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's a good dude. He was really cool to talk to and just kind of get his view on things because, there's not a ton of people that are just like FERT only. And his business was even more interesting up in Canada, being like, they're only working like less than half the year. So it's cool to see kind of his perspective on things being up there. And then Justin White was great. Just spending time in the evenings with everybody. We went out to dinner a couple nights together and just talking one-on-one or one-on-five is honestly what I get the most out of those trips is just connecting with people and building their relationships personally.
Same here. Some crazy guy brought a scale to dinner to weigh their food, but other than that,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it was an overall good trip. But first, Alec, I got to know this question, which I'm sure you've heard on the podcast before, but if you and I are juniors and seniors in high school, who is Alec Overett in high school?
Man, that's a good question. So most people that know me know that I've been like sober all my life, but I still like to have a lot of fun I still do, honestly, but I've always liked to have a lot of fun. So
yeah, that's just your energy for sure.
Yeah. So I was a fun guy. I mean, I would do other things.
You can't laugh and then not say something.
I mean, we would like drive around and steal street signs and just little stupid stuff. We'd be up late all night learning how to do donuts in all the parking lots and just getting in trouble for stupid stuff. Senior year, we had at the end of the year, it's like they call it senior prank day. And it's like all the seniors just do stupid stuff to like that they get in trouble for. And so we filled up my entire truck bed with water with a tarp, and we got a generator and a pump all in like my truck cab, and we hooked up a hose to it, and we were just like driving around in the parking lot, spraying the teachers and throwing water balloons and launch them and stuff like that. So it was just always something going on for me. I had a single mom, and so there wasn't like a ton of accountability with me as a child. And I normally was like a good kid. So she didn't really have to overly watch me. But so I could be out till midnight every night if I wanted to. And I just like to have fun. So
that's cool. Were you doing sports at that time? Were you competitive?
Yeah, I did. I played tennis throughout high school. I did not play my senior year though, because I broke my foot. I got a job at the Stone Center. And I was just like bagging rocks every day. And then one day the guy comes over to set down a pallet of bricks and just puts it on my foot.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I didn't play tennis my senior year, which I think was good because I made a lot of new friends. And I've played a lot of different sports throughout the years. I played a lot of basketball just after high school. And like we just talked about, I play a lot of pickleball now. So I've always been into different types of sports, but the only sport I actually played in school was tennis.
Were you always competitive?
Yeah, absolutely.
So even like with the water balloons in the back of your truck, like who could throw the most water balloons and hit the most teachers?
Oh yeah. Oh, we got, I don't know if you've ever seen the water balloon launchers. I grew up with water balloon launchers in California. And on the 4th of July, it was like a big deal. Everyone would have water balloons. We'd launch them at boats and stuff. So I brought a water balloon launcher to school that day, and we were standing in the back of the parking lot, launching them over the buses into the doorway. We're just seeing who could hit the most people with the launcher.
That's awesome. Sounds like a lot of fun. And so after high school, what happens there? Where do you go next?
Yeah. So I had what they call 21st century scholars. It was what do they call it? It's free tuition basically for college. It was scholarship that you qualify for by basically not making a lot of money. So my mom got me qualified for the scholarship, and she was just always pushing me to go to college. And so I ended up going for 6 weeks. And then after 6 weeks, I just stopped going. And I just hated school. I've always hated school. And I had started kind of mowing lawns on the side already. Just like most, I would say we were relatively wealthy when I was a kid, and I grew up in Long Beach, California. I always kind of had what I wanted. Money wasn't really an object. My mom kind of was a stay-at-home mom sometimes. Sometimes she just kind of had her own little side gigs going on, and my dad made a lot of money. Once they got divorced, my mom moved us to Indiana, and we didn't really have any money anymore. And so I would mow lawns after school and get like lunch money and stuff. And the senior year of high school, me and my buddy Dalton partnered up, and we were kind of mowing lawns, and he went down to IU. So he would come up every weekend. We'd mow lawns together on the weekend, and then throughout the week, I'd do random stuff to try and get more clients, or I've had a couple jobs throughout those first couple of years. And then after probably that first year of Dalton being down at IU, we had to have like a hard discussion, or I had to have a hard discussion with him. I'm like, dude, this is all I got. I dropped out of college. I've never had like a real job, and this is the only thing I've got going for me, and I really got to commit. And so I had saved all the money that I made that year mowing with him. And, we split it in half, and I would just stack my half. And at the end of the year, I was like, look, I want to give you all the money that I've earned this year and buy you out and just kind of take over from here. I'll change the name, keep the clients. You're down at IU. If you want to start a new lawn care business down there, I'll help you, whatever you want to do. So that's kind of when I committed to really starting. I still lived at home because I was like 18 or 19. So it was really easy for me to stack that money because I didn't really have any bills or responsibilities. And I continued doing that until I moved out when I was 20. All the money I was earning throughout the first couple of years, I was really lucky that even though my mom didn't make a lot, we didn't have a lot. All I really had to pay for was food. So that's what happened after high school. I got it going from there. And then every year I just kind of took what I needed. I'm not really super materialistic person. I like nice things every now and then, but they usually tend to be bigger purchases. And so you can't buy a lot of those at once. So I've always kind of just took what I needed, and it helped us scale faster until these last couple of years. I'd say it's been more of a lifestyle type business, and I've just kind of been able to work when I want and that kind of stuff.
Cool. So what was the business called when you first started, and then what did you change it to?
So yes, that's a good question. So we had Precision Cuts Lawn Care, just like everybody else, mowing, doing whatever they can get their hands on. I'm sure I power washed at some point.
You probably cleaned the gutters.
Cleaning gutters, all of it.
Probably took down trees.
Yeah, I've definitely taken down a few trees. I was a little nervous. I can remember them because I was just like, as long as it's not near a house, I can take it down.
Taking a strapping it to the Reese hitch in your truck around the tree and pulling.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard about GorillaDesk yet, it's a super sick software. It's actually made by one of my really close friends, Chris Mareshi. So Chris built GorillaDesk to help streamline his own personal business over 10 years ago. But now GorillaDesk is used by over 4,000 companies. And today it's become one of the most premier platforms in our industry. So what's really unique about GorillaDesk is that it's a simple all-in-one solution that's really easy for your team to use. GorillaDesk offers a seamless onboard experience and best-in-class support with no additional cost. It's all included in your subscription. Inside the software, you'll find a whole suite of features: scheduling, invoicing, routing, and sales pipelines, integrated VoIP, text messaging, and pretty much all the automation you're going to need, and much, much more. So if you guys are still relying on paper or spreadsheets or fighting with an old software, I highly recommend that you guys check out GorillaDesk. So we have a link in our description. Click on that and it'll take you right to their free trial. Now let's get back to the show.
I think we grew like that, honestly, up to maybe 1.35 million or so, give or take. And we were trying to, at that point in time, we kind of wanted to start doing more fertilization. We had just kind of started. It was our first year. And it was a struggle because all the clients that we would acquire would fire us due to reasons with other services. So they'd like, our mowing has just, it's just been a shit show for the last couple of years, if I'm allowed to say that.
No, you're allowed to say whatever you want to. It's my podcast.
Yeah. And it's just like, it was just a scheduling nightmare. Once ever, we had a little bit of turnover in our operations management level. And so we made a hire that I thought was going to be really good. It's just, I gave him too much slack at first. And I think his first couple months, he lost us almost 200 mowing clients due to scheduling. People were calling in like, hey, I haven't been mowed in 3 weeks. And then other people are still getting mowed every Monday. And I wasn't noticing what was happening. And so things were kind of just not going well for mowing. And that is one reason why we started Turf Kings, is like all these fur clients were canceling because of mowing or whatever other reasons. And it's also like, I saw more of a long-term vision with fertilization. There was less headaches. People aren't, hey, where have you been? It's been 46 days if we're supposed to be there every 45 days. People don't necessarily know when their next application is. They just, when they start seeing weeds, they might complain. So the plan was to start Turf Kings. I guess kind of similar to how you did. I was going to sell Precision Cuts Lawn Care and actually had an offer too. And I decided to keep it as just kind of to help cash flow the growth because, man, like clients are expensive and our annual client value is not very high in this business, but our attrition is a lot better. And so when you're talking $650, $750 a year for a client, then you got to spend $100, $200 if you have good marketing. There were times there was over $200 a client a year. And when you try and cash flow that up front, when you don't have many clients, it gets really, really expensive and you're not making any money for a while. So we decided to keep Precision Cuts to help with that because I didn't want to just spend all the money if I sold the company and just have nothing to show for it. So started Turf Kings last year. It was actually our first full year. Started it in the fall before that, but it was really just building brand and getting. Fall,
I think, is when we met.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Remember you called and we had a conversation. You were just asking questions like how, right when we met. That's cool.
So exactly. So I had started Turf Kings. I just didn't know. I was just trying to create a brand. If we got any calls, I was just I didn't have a license technically under there. So we were kind of subcontracting it back to Precision. It was a weird little couple months there, but the vision was, build up Turf King, sell Precision. And last year was our first full year. We did, I want to say like 350,000 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Probably a quarter of that, if not more, was spent on marketing and stuff. And then this year we're growing. It's not been an amazing year by any means, in my opinion.
It's never fast enough, right?
It's never. Yeah, I guess so. But I honestly, I can't complain, especially for the schedule that, allows me to be on. I'm very, very free with my time, and I've just got a really, really good team of people. We're a little bit overhead heavy with staff just so that I can live that way. Cause I've been doing it for a few years now like this, and not a lot of people get to live like this, especially at my age. I'm 28 now. So since I've been 25, I get to choose when I want to work, and that's really cool. And I'm willing to lose a little bit of the growth to be able to live the way I'm living. Not that I'm like taking massive paychecks or anything, but I'm just free with my time. And that's what I appreciate more than anything.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you have to step back into precision cuts for a minute then?
A little bit. Yeah. Last year. So when we found a really good guy. His name's Matt, and he's been in the industry for a long time. He's a great manager. He's really hands-on with the guys. But in between those two hires, we tried to bring up who we called our production manager. Now, all the titles are just like whatever, but this guy's main role at the time he was basically our top field guy, right? Like he would go out sometimes, but he would do all of our training and quality control. And he really wanted to take this position of our operations manager. And so we gave him a shot. It was, in the summer. We had just gotten rid of the other guy, and it didn't go very well. He had some addiction issues with alcohol. And so whenever the pressure would get high, which it tends to do in that position, he would kind of ghost us for a day or two. And so it was at that point where I had to make a really hard decision, let him go, even though he had been with me for almost my entire business. I want to say maybe 5 years, which is longer than I'd have had anyone. I mean, I've only been doing this for 6 or 7. So he'd been with me for a long time. So that was really difficult for me. But at that point, I kind of had to step in, and lucky for me, like I said, we have a really good team. Those people were stepping up and helping as well.
Looking back on that decision to hire him, did you kind of already know that he had those issues? But you're like, oh, he's just been with us for a long time, and I know I can trust him.
He had been sober for 2 years.
Okay.
So I did know. I actually helped him get sober. My dad has been battling sobriety my entire life. That's why I've never drank before. And so I kind of have a soft spot for that, I guess. And I just have a soft spot for people in general. I just love people,
Yeah. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 younger sisters.
Do they drink?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Like I asked that because I had a couple of friends growing up in high school. Kind of the same thing. You could ask them, one's really successful, the other ones aren't successful. You go ask them both the same questions. You've heard this before, but this is a true story of my life. You go ask one why he's super successful. He's like, because my parents were alcoholics and drug addicts. I didn't ever want to be home. He got a standing ovation our senior year. So Jeff, if you're listening to this, he got a standing ovation his senior year at the senior whatever class thing that they had at the end of the year. And because he never missed a day and he was never late for school ever since kindergarten. Because he never wanted to be home. Flip the script. Now I get his 2 brothers, good guys, great. They like to have fun. They're good people. But again, they follow that path. It's just funny how that works. Like same raised, same way, same household. You guys take 2 different paths. It's just crazy to me. That's why I asked that question. Sorry to go off on a tangent. I just find that very, very
There's probably a lot of psychology behind all that. And, we grew up 2 years apart. So I had more of my dad in my life than they might have. And I don't want to say anything bad about my sisters here, but their paths are a lot different than mine. My youngest sister, I don't want to say she's never had a job, but she's never had like a real, full job.
And you're 28, right?
Yeah. So she's 24.
She's still young.
Yeah. So she's still young. She just had her kid. So I just became an uncle.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so, we're just on very different paths, and I'm not saying that one's right or wrong, but they're very, very different. And it's funny that it's basically just how you mentioned.
Yeah. So like at 24, I was probably still a shit show too. So.
Well, see, I was married and bought my house when I was 23. So
I think I married to like 26 or 27. That's when I started to calmed down a little bit. I didn't fully start there, but yeah, it's just fascinating to me how again, just how that works out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%.
So now you kind of skipped a lot there because you went from pushing mowers in the summer to 1.2 million. Like a lot happened through there. Walk us through that. Did you meet the right people? Did you find a mentor? What software you were using at the time? Were you using software? Walk us through that. Because let's be honest, like a lot of people that listen to this, like some of them are a lot bigger companies and there's some small companies, but we all know that 10% of companies or 8% of all companies get over $1 million. So you went from like this chuck in a truck to 1.2. So walk us through that.
So 2020 was COVID. 2020, man, I'm trying to remember our revenues. So 2019, I think we did maybe 300,000 total that was when we were just Precision. And I did all of that on QuickBooks. And that was the year I started using Google spreadsheets for the schedule. So the year before that, I was literally on paper. I didn't know anything, dude. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm a low fact finder, so I wasn't on the internet looking for help. I was just making shit up as I go. And so I started doing Google Sheets so they could highlight the jobs green as they finished them so that I could invoice during the day instead of invoicing at night every day. And that was like my big breakthrough. And then I found out about the GIE Expo, which is only 2 hours south of here. So
just for all the listeners, for our listeners that aren't lawn care people, GIE is like basically a bit, what would you call it?
It's huge. It's a huge, exposition, 40 acres inside and outside of like booths. You could go dig a hole on an excavator if you want. I don't belong on one of those things. I put my office manager on one last year. She was just digging a hole for no reason.
That's funny. So for all the guys that are on the pest control side, it'd be like your pest world, but times that by like 100.
It's huge. So yeah, landscapers, lawn care, hardscaping. There's, plant companies and paver companies and
we have some mutual friends that are in the landscape industry. Like there's a big competition that they're on every year. Like they have to lay so many pavers in a certain time period, and they have like competitions, and they took second, I think.
Yeah, I know. I think they won one year. Are you talking about Jason and Ashley?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know. He's won some of those competitions. I don't know which ones are which.
So yeah, it's a big event. So you go there, JP's actually there.
Yeah. That was my first, that was my introduction to CRMs. So that's where I learned about Service Autopilot. I learned about this Academy deal.
I have a question for you. When you got there and he had his SA signs up there, was one of them me, but not really me? One of the years that he went there, he had like this cardboard cutout of this guy that has like this thing come out of his mouth. It's like a quote that he's saying. And it says like the quote, and then it says my name underneath it, but it's just some random guy that's supposed to be me. So I wanted that thing, and then they could never find it to send it to me. Anyway.
That's hilarious. No, I honestly don't remember much about what I saw there. I do remember I guess they had this, startup fee or whatever. If you want to get the top package, it's like $1,500.
Yeah. It's like their automations package or whatever, right? At that time. Yeah.
And they were waiving it for the GIE. So I was like, all right, well, it's October. I'm not going to switch right now, but it's only 3 months away from the end of the year. I'll sign up and save that $1,500 fee. And then I'll start working it into, over the winter. So we're getting into it. So I signed up and then started using it. And then I started getting these emails about Academy. And that's when I joined in June of 2020. So for some, I was like late to the game. I'm a lot of people that, both of us know from Academy were in there long before that. So, but I joined in 2020, and that's obviously, I'm sure you've talked about Academy 1,000 times on this podcast. Everyone probably knows at this point that a lot of us learned a lot from that man. But that was a game changer for me. Obviously, I doubled that year and started implementing the CRM, Service Autopilot. I'm still using Service Autopilot.
For both companies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's great too.
I know there's different benefits of other ones, but for what we're doing right now, we don't really have any issues with it. So there's nothing that we're like, man, I wish we could do this. Obviously there's little intricacies
But all software is the same way. You know what I mean?
I mean, just automations itself is just like, it saves us at least one job. So yeah, that was kind of the middle of the 200 to 1.3 or whatever.
So how is it going from Google Sheets to Service Autopilot?
I don't know how I didn't know about CRMs. I was blaming on the fact that I was 21, 22 years old or whatever. And I just don't research stuff. I just do it until someone tells me. And so I thought I was on the best route possible with the sheets. And then I think, it allowed me to go another year without hiring somebody. I had hired my first office person that year before Service Autopilot, and then I didn't have to hire somebody for another year. I honestly think I would have needed to if I wasn't on there. I mean, there's so much work you had on QuickBooks. I mean, you were manually entering every single invoice every single day that was done. You have multiple crews out there and you're just going in all day, just adding invoice, typing in the number.
You're like, yeah, you're going down your sheet that got mowed that day and you're like, oh, this person got done. Saw your green check mark, jump into QuickBooks. Yeah, it was terrible. I remember those days. Like it was like 3, and then you're at that point, like for me, even early on, it's like getting those invoices printed, get them in the mail, put a stamp on them, sending them out, then hopefully getting paid in 30 to 60 days.
Yeah, exactly. At the time we were emailing them mostly unless we couldn't get payment, but still we were just waiting for checks. Although I do somewhat miss getting the mail every day and seeing a bunch of checks. That was always fun. Now it seems like it's all bills since we're all card on file. I don't really get checks anymore.
Yeah, we still get, we have some that we adopted or grandfathered in, all the older people that were with us before we got in. But yeah, so we still get some checks, but I remember those days too, just getting a big old stack of checks and take you an hour just to go open them up. And yeah, I remember, I think I said on the podcast too before, early on in my career, and a bank called one day and it was me and 2 other guys. And they're like, oh, well, payroll hit today, Jonas, and there's no money in the bank. Ran home, opened up the mailbox, there's a stack of checks. I'm like, thank God. I think it was probably $5,000 or $6,000 if I remember right. Went and deposited that day. So what's as far as growth, you said you grew a lot in those 2 years. What strategies were working really well compared to what's working well today? Are they the same or are they different?
So, man, I'd say honestly, the last couple of years for us have been strange. We've been growing a lot, customer count, but like I said, our new, with this new model, the client value for 1 year value is low. And so it just doesn't feel like it's going as fast as it used to, because back in the precision cuts days, you pick up a client, it's $2,500. Yeah.
How many apps do you guys run? 5, 6?
We do 6 plus grub. So 7, but 6 visits.
And then just double or adding in the grub on one of those applications.
Yeah. So round 3, we do round 3 in grub, same application, but we charged for 2 rounds. And then aeration overseeding.
What is your, the revenue per client per year on average?
Per year, it's $674 or something.
It's not terrible, but it's not like a mowing client. But then you're not there weekly versus.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it on a rolling 12 basis, and so right now we're doing a lot of those high ticket service aeration and overseedings. So we had a lot of that. A lot of those are clients we acquired in the spring. We sold them on a package with that service, and we haven't done that service yet. And so we should see a bump right this fall, but it usually is around that 650 mark.
And then you're just upselling into the current list that you have. And then how are you getting new clients? What's worked really well for you? Both companies.
So, I'll tell you what, back before the biggest honestly, it's still probably the biggest deal is just getting reviews on Google. I mean, that grows. I mean, it's a longer play, obviously, but after, like I said, it's been 2 years since we started Turf Kings, and we're already getting a lot of organic traffic, and it's because we have almost 100 5-star reviews on Google.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I said that I would do if when I go in, if I were to start a new company or the day one, that's literally what I do. I just go do the service for free to get a Google review. My first 20 customers get Google reviews because those reviews will get you more customers.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, everybody knows if you need something, you go on Google. Like other than asking for a referral from your friends, but if there's anything you ever don't know the answer to a question, it's either, for me these days, it's Google or ChatGPT.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
And I really want to know the answer because I'm genuinely curious. I'll tell you my answer. Do you find yourself going to ChatGPT more often, or do you still find yourself going to Google more often?
So my problem is so Google has an AI now also. So when you Google a question, the AI kind of pops up first. But if it's like a question that's going to be more than like 6 or 7 words, I always find myself going to ChatGPT because I feel like on ChatGPT, I can ask it a real question. And on Google, you're trying to like make it like 5 or 6 keywords to get the best answer. So honestly, it's a lot more ChatGPT than it used to be. It's probably still like 50-50. But last year it was like 99% Google.
Yeah. So I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm probably right there with you. I'm probably 50-50, maybe even 60-40 more towards ChatGPT. So as you guys are listening to this and thinking through this, and we're older, well, I'm older than you guys, but think of like the kids that are coming up, like the people who would be buying houses that are your age. Like, that's why I asked, like, you're 28 years old. Like, what are you guys searching? What are you guys using? Make sure your companies shows up on ChatGPT. So you have to keep playing with it, right? You have to keep asking the questions and then make it re-ask the questions, and like it'll start feeding more data. And then ChatGPT knows that, hey, like we have a lot of people searching for this, and yeah, it's like the algorithm thing. It gets pulling all the data from everything. So I just keep asking it crazy questions. But yeah, anyway, off topic again. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like I'm more ChatGPT than I am Google right now. So I just see that's going to be a future play soon. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great tool. We use it a lot here. I hired this year a full-time
ChatGPTer.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. She's like our marketing. I don't know what her job title is, marketing director or social media content coordinator. Who knows? But she uses it a lot, and it's not like it's writing blogs for her, but she'll maybe put a blog in there and ask how to better optimize it for SEO or something like that.
How long ago did you say you hired her last year?
This year. I want to say springtime this year, like maybe late spring, May or June. And it would have had to have been probably June because she had just graduated from Ball State, which is a college here.
She go to school for marketing?
Yeah, or writing or something. She loves writing. Like she's been like writing like a fiction book, which on this, like this is that's her hobby, you know? So, she loves writing. So she's great at writing blogs because she just writes.
That's cool. So funny enough, you said that because when Alex Hermose's first hires that he says he hires for marketing is a content writer.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Garrett Matthews?
Yeah, of course.
I talked to him because he has a couple marketing people, and I talked to him a lot. But I decided this year that I wanted to try and bring some of our marketing in-house because there's nothing against agencies. And I think especially when you're smaller, they're extremely helpful because they do everything and you can't afford a full-time person. But we were kind of at the point where I thought, we're kind of spending enough that it's worth trying out. It's only a little bit more to have somebody here that's here at, 40 hours a week. And there are a couple of downfalls, right? Like she's not a master on Google AdWords.
Well, I mean, Google has free courses you can watch.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say. She's actually been doing those recently. So we're having to teach her a lot, which you don't have to do with an agency.
Flip side, if like, hey, your marketing's slow one day, like, or something seems off, you can just go crank that ad back up. Like that's what's nice about having it in-house too.
Exactly. And she knows our business. There are obviously agencies out there that know our industry, but they're not here every day and understand the ins and outs of what's going on.
Agencies are great. Like we still use one for some stuff. We do a lot of stuff in-house too. But yeah, they have their time and place for sure.
Yeah. I've got nothing bad to say about the agencies that I have used. So
me either. And but how often do they actually work on your stuff? We know it's relatively not that much per month. Which is a great business model. Like I get it. Like they do a great job. But yeah, like more you can pull this stuff in at some point when you can afford it, the better off you are. What does her day-to-day look like? We never really talked about this on the podcast. So this is really good. Thanks, Alec. Leave it up to you, buddy.
My sales manager is her boss or whatever. I tell him he's in charge of sales and marketing. My sales manager actually has a degree in turf science. So he knows everything about grass. And so he's great for overseeing content that she writes and all that kind of stuff. But her day-to-day changes all the time. It just kind of depends on what we're working on. Right now, we've been kind of building out a DBA for Christmas light kings. And it's just, to try and help better with branding for Christmas lights. Obviously still under the same umbrella, but she built out the website for that, and that took a little while. She's been building out social medias and generating logos and stuff like that. So it changes for her. She writes obviously our content. We try and get out one blog a week, and she primarily works on Turf Kings, but we'll have her do a little bit of precision stuff too. We have like two people that kind of bounce between the two companies to help out. But social media stuff, honestly, she'll probably spend a little bit of time every day, literally just scrolling on social media, which it kind of hurts to see for a second, but it's just like, okay, she's got to do it. She's making our social media content. But it's never fun to walk down the hallway and see someone sitting on their phone, but for her, it's beneficial. So she gets on social media. She makes all of our posts. She writes the content. She's learning to manage ads, and she's working on that. And we'll have her sometimes try and build landing pages on our website for maybe promotion we're running or a new postcard. If she built out a postcard, we don't do a lot of like postcard stuff, but we have a guy here. It's kind of like a Valpak. It's called Monthly Trend or something along those lines. And he reached out to us and offered to do free, like let us in his thing for free if we treat his lawn. So it's kind of a no-brainer. And so she'll like create landing pages for those offers. Honestly, her day is different every day. Every time I think of a new idea, which I do all the time, I just send it to her. And so she's probably overwhelmed.
That's quick starts. Funny enough, one of my friends, Taylor, he reached out to me like 2 days ago. He's like, yeah, there's Valpak here. So I just did the same thing. I went and created a postcard, and I went presented it to 8 different companies. They all paid for it. I got to send out like 8,000 or 10,000 flyers for free of my own. I'm like, that's actually pretty smart.
Interesting. So you made the postcard and then reached out to the companies.
I did it, and my friend Taylor did. He's like, hey, this is how I did it. If you want to learn more how to do this, this is what we did. I'm like, huh, actually relatively smart. He's got all this marketing that he paid $0 for. And I can't remember what his return is ROI on the thing was like through the roof.
Yeah. I mean, because our cost, so he wanted an aeration and overseeding, this flyer guy. And our cost on that is so low. And then, it's a $1,200 aeration, and it cost us, an hour of labor and $100 worth of seed or whatever it is. So it cost us $150 to maybe tops to get in there. And we sent it out to thousands of houses. I think we got a few jobs off of it. So it ended up being worth it. $50 a client. Yeah.
I just seen someone post on one of the, Facebook groups like last week asking the same thing. If anyone ever had any good luck with Valpak. And I was like, I think it's just everything that I've seen, and I've talked to people I talk to people every day. every market's a little bit different, but it's such a low barrier to entry for marketing. Like, just try it. It's worth testing.
Yeah. I did do a Valpak where I paid back in the early precision days, and I didn't get anything out of it.
Because old people love coupons.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
I think we were a little late, and so I don't want to entirely blame Valpak on that. I think we ran it in May for FERT, and it's just kind of late.
Yeah. Are you teaching her how to run our Facebook ads as well?
She's learning both of those. So right now, do you know Jason Murphy?
And the name is super familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was in Academy. He's like near Louisville area. His son, like runs ads, and that's all he like. So we hired him just to run our Google and Facebook ads. And I probably shouldn't say a price because I don't know what he charges, but I thought it was a really good value for us. So he's just running just our ads, and which was cheaper than what the agency was charging us for it. And then we just hired her. So she's trying to we're trying to get her down with everything before she really dives into the ad stuff. Cause she's also doing some content. She'll come out and shoot film, like video on sites, or film content for shorts or advertisements, all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. I don't ever plug myself on here, so it's a good plug time. I don't even know this will come out probably 2-3 weeks, so it might be past then, but we're actually starting our next class, our marketing class, on the 17th. If you guys are interested, hit me up in a message or email me or whatever. I'm on all the social media, so it's pretty easy to find. You can email us here too. But I run a marketing course because I teach other people how to market. Like, that's what I'm really good at.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what you're doing in the course, but I know you're good at marketing. So I would, anyone listening should definitely check it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm good at. And I got really good over time. And, like, obviously you can see what we do on TikTok and YouTube and the strategy behind it. But the volume of leads that we can get is wild to me now. Like, it's blown away. But again, it took time, right? And just knowing what to do and what not to do, and lots of money spent on marketing to figure out what worked and what didn't work. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's awesome that you're pulling it all in house. It's very smart, especially the size you are now. Like, getting those leads wrapped in house is really, really smart.
Honestly, I would probably consider sending her to your class, actually. So I would like some information on that too.
Yeah, for sure. I'll text you outside of here. But yeah, we basically just teach you how to run all ads. Like, again, I'm not talking bad about agencies. I love them, especially the ones that we've have all past guys, except for Andrew Patoshnik. That was a struggle bus. Besides the point, that was a rough one. Bad memories there. But yeah, just take it, get it all under house and just really learning the ad side of thing. And if you can get a really good lead source, and you don't have to be super great at sales, your good business is still going to be growing. Like, I'm a big Alex Hormozy fan. I think I've listened and consumed everything he has. Going to one of his classes here coming up soon too. So excited about that. But just listening to his $1 Million Leads, $1 Million Offers book over and over and over again, like thinking of the strategy behind it, what we can do for lawn care or pest control, it's amazing. And it's all for free. Just go listen to the books. Everything he puts out there is free. And just, I love creating content. It's fun for me. Last week, I have 90 videos on my phone from last Wednesday alone.
Holy cow.
And then I did a few more yesterday too, and just always testing what's working and what doesn't work. And everyone's like, well, I just run out of content. I don't know what to put. I'm like, I have thousands of videos. Go watch mine.
Ask ChatGPT.
Or ask ChatGPT, but go watch my videos. Like, I still have more content than I haven't done yet. So there's no way you're running ideas and you just didn't start yet. Like, you got 10 videos in. You got a long ways to go. But for those people who aren't doing marketing and content, you must be doing content. You have to. And everyone's like, well, everyone else is already doing it. I've heard that one before. I'm like, there's still so much room. And you see like the few people that are doing it. And then you get sucked into their algorithm. So it's always looking like they're just the only ones doing it. But there's a lots of room, especially in our industry.
I just had our marketing person read They Ask, You Answer.
Great book. I mean, this is where it all started. that book?
They've been actually, Brandon, my sales guy, also read that book. So they're coming up. I mean, just reading that book, it's nothing about lawn care, and they're coming up with hundreds of marketing and content ideas.
It's River City Pool and Spa, right?
Yeah. So they're just coming up with tons of content ideas now just from reading that book. And it just kind of tells you how to think of new content ideas, thinking it from a different perspective.
Yeah. And then like the strategy that he went into it, and like having like basically what it comes down to is like, think of all the questions that you get asked on a daily basis, make videos for all those, like the price, how much does it usually cost? How much, like all those questions you get asked on a daily basis, go throw them on your website, right? Because it'll answer all the questions before you even talk to someone. By the time you talk to someone, they're pretty much 90%, depending on how far they get, they're closed anyway, because they just trust you. Yeah. But this is like my strategy. That's where it all started. Like, I think I don't even know, SA2. Maybe you weren't even around then. He was a speaker 2 years in a row.
We did have, he did come that one year that the conference got canceled because of COVID. I think it was 2021.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
So he must have been like 2019 and then skipped a year and then 21.
Yeah, because 2020 was the virtual year.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
That was supposed to be my first conference, and they made it virtual. So that was kind of a bummer, but
for sure. So she's doing content. Is she do like all your upsell emails too? Like, is she doing everything marketing for both companies?
A lot of the upsell stuff I had already built out before we hired her. And because I built all that out through the automations and service autopilot. So our agency wasn't doing it. So a lot of that was already built for the year. I built it over the winter, or honestly, a lot of them built years before, and I just go and make small edits. But she overlooks them, but she hasn't really dove into a lot of the upsell stuff just because it's kind of already automated.
Yeah, that's what's nice about SA for sure. We've been on a long tangent about marketing for like 25 minutes. That's good. Which we don't get to talk about. Like, we really just don't talk a lot about marketing. So that was fun. And I could talk about marketing.
Marketing is everything, honestly.
I love it. It's so much fun. What's be some of the best advice that you've been given on your journey so far up to this point? Give me a couple. Maybe it's something that comes to the top of your head. That maybe it's maybe something very painful that you went through, you had to learn, or maybe something that someone taught you early on that helped you out a lot. So
honestly, the one that just keeps coming to my mind is one of the most obvious ones. And I've heard it from 1,000 different people. And it's like, if you don't learn to grow with your company will learn to shrink down to you. Right. And I mean, I've heard this long before I was even in business. When I was just listening to, like, I don't know, do you know Jim Rohn?
Yeah, of course.
I used to listen to him a lot when I was just kind of doing some sales stuff in my late teens. And he would say, just as long as if you don't go out to where it is, it'll soon come back to where you are. And over the years, every single mentor that I've had always kind of said the same thing: is you need to be learning and you need to be growing. It's the only way to be one of the best in this industry. And so honestly, that's the biggest one. And then other than that, it's just like numbers and culture are the two biggest things. I was going to say,
but I had two things in my head that I thought you were going to say. One is know your numbers, and two is pay your taxes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't go that way, but it's still good advice.
Yes. Yeah. Pay your taxes for know We just finally finished my taxes for 23 this week because of the extensions. But yeah, so numbers, know your numbers, and learn how to build a good culture, because a bad culture will ruin a good business. Yeah,
let's. I know we don't have much time, but let's talk about culture just for a minute, if you don't mind. I know you got a strong culture there. You guys talk a lot about culture in your meetings with Mike and all you guys do. Give us some strategies around the culture thing. What are you guys doing that really help build culture?
I mean, there's a lot of things. I think one of the big things is just having a clear vision and making sure that your team knows where you're going. Making sure that they're part of that vision before you bring them on, and making sure if you find out they're not part of the vision, you're letting them go, even if they're a good performer. There was a point in time where I'm preaching this about, hey, if you have a cancer, you need to let them go. even if they're a great performer. And I'm sitting there and I've got this guy who's mowing 3 times as many lawns as anybody else. He's bringing in the same revenue as a FERT tech on mowing lawns, and he's just kicking ass. But every morning he comes in bitching about something and complaining about this and fighting people and screaming. And it was so hard for me to let him go. But all of a sudden, when you finally do, it's like a weight is lifted. And guess what? Just like there's people that can do our job better than we can, there's people that can do their job better than they can.
Yeah, you should never go to your office like on pins and needles, like and not want to go there. If you have that issue, like there's this person that just makes you not want to go to your office, just get rid of that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was lucky for me that wasn't affecting me too much, that guy, because he's a few, layers between us, but I would hear about it. I would hear about it a lot, and everyone complain about him and how he was affecting everybody. And then, we would bring in new guys and we would have him train them because he was our best guy. But then all of a sudden they did it really well in their interview. And then they had all of a sudden this shitty mentality while they were working. And then we come to find out we're the idiots that are pairing this guy who doesn't align with our culture and our vision as our trainer, who's teaching our guys how to be part of this company. He's going to teach his way. And, honestly, it's just, you can't have a culture vulture.
I agree. Last question for you. What does the next 3 to 5 years look like for you, Alec? What's your vision? That's
a great question. So obviously we have our vision of our company, and we're trying to, our purpose, right, is elevating lives. That's what our company is all about. That's what I care about. It's elevating the lives of our people in our company. And for a lot of them, that means that it does mean that we have to grow, because there are people that have goals and ambitions that we cannot fulfill the way that we are designed right now. And so I can't just be selfish and continue living like this if that's what I want, if it doesn't align with what I really do want in my heart. And so our goal is to grow. We'd like to have 7,000 clients in the next 5 years. That's our lofty goal, our big, hairy, audacious goal, if you will. And that's the business goal. Personally, I'm planning on having kids in the next couple of years. And so that means I think I need to put, nose to the grindstone now, and so that I can be able to give that kid the best life I possibly can, because that's important to me, is being able to spend time there. And if I don't grow now and then I have a kid, I think it's just going to take me away from the business a little more, because I'm really big on family. So
yeah, and kids will change your life for sure. They'll make you soft in a way.
Yeah. Oh, I'm already a softie, dude. I tell everyone I'm a crier, so I'll cry at the wrong commercial. If it hits me, I just start tearing up watching like something stupid on a commercial, and I'm like,
wait till you have kids.
Yeah, I know.
Different story, man. They definitely have your heart, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's why I do what I do. I love my girls,
Motivation. Love it.
Cool, man. Well, again, I appreciate you spending the last hour. We're going to have to do this again, because I feel like we have a lot to talk about still. If we didn't get very far. But it was good to connect, and good to hear from you again. I know that you'll crush your goals for sure. And again, I appreciate your friendship, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
All right, later, buddy. See ya.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, obviously, but the podcast isn't free. You can pay for the podcast by sharing it with your friends and your family. So please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. These things make a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions you want answered about the business or your life by me or my guests, send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about any personal business coaching, check out our website at www.pestcontrolmillionaire.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys again on the next one.